EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Wednesday nightcap edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, Johnny Mac, John McMullen, wrapping up not only another training camp practice, everybody, but training camp as a whole. Day 18 has come and gone, and that means training camp has come and gone, and it is officially over. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Wednesday evening, brother?
Doing well, yeah. We finally got through it. 18 days of training camp practice and got one more sort of necessary evil to get over. And then it will be a cut down day, which will be legitimately interesting. And then we're in regular season prep for the Dallas Cowboys. Almost there.
Yep, no doubt. John, cut down day is next Tuesday, right? What's the timeline on that? Is there like by 4:30 they have to be in, or what's
4 o'clock? 4 o'clock.
Okay, so 4 o'clock is when the news are going to break on that. I'm sure we'll breaking news, react to that sucker coming up next Tuesday. Good stuff on there. Johnny Mac, day 18 of practice. Seemed like Jalen Hurts closes with a bang. Everybody's writing Jalen Hurts had a good practice today. We'll get into today's practice, everybody. We'll get into training camp as a whole, kind of John's takeaways from what went on at training camp at large, and maybe some of the biggest questions or biggest positives, biggest questions, biggest concerns on this football team after training camp. So we'll do all that on tonight's show. John, let's start with day number 18 today, though. A good one for Jalen Hurts, evidently.
Yeah, well, it was all right. I mean, it was a weird practice. It was sort of a walkthrough. They did a little bit of a walkthrough before they did stretching and then individual drills. Then they did a little bit of teamwork. And yeah, it was better than yesterday, but it was sort of a scaled back practice, light practice. I think, if we're up to them, there were fans there. If up to them, they would have done a walkthrough. But so they threw a couple team drills out there, but obviously not in pads or anything like that. So, but they did a lot of red zone work. So I think people saw a bunch of touchdowns and got excited by it, would be my assumption. But it was, it was the same. No AJ, no Devontae, no Johnny Wilson, obviously. So, it was that was the really talk of training camp, because if you added up the number of reps the starting offense, the projected starting offense play together, it's got to be under 100. Yeah. Got to be over 18 days. So that's why I'm not too worried about the offense. It'll be fine. You might have a ramp up period in the regular season, but nobody's out there, so I wouldn't get too worked up about it, good or bad.
John, do you think collectively the Eagles have shifted their mindset on what training camp means to them? And I don't mean it in a negative way. I think they're organizationally, they have kind of changed the way they look at training camp. I don't think it matters as much to them. I don't think they care about it as much anymore. I think their main goals are stay healthy, figure out where we have position battles, figure out where we can improve the team if possible, and kind of gear up for the regular season. We're okay if it takes a little bit. Does it feel like to you that the organization?
Yeah, it's been that way for years. I've been talking about it for years. It's a cost benefit analysis. They changed about 3-4 years ago, where they made the decision, well, you don't have enough time to prepare like you'd like to prepare anyway. So the goal is to get everybody as healthy as possible to week one, the key players. So, and that's not this year. They didn't make that shift this year. That's been 3-4 years, really.
Right.
Really,
I think winning last year maybe solidified it more. No, I mean, it makes you a little bit more confident in your approach probably after the win.
Well, yeah, I think everybody's self-assured. Jalen Hurts talked about that. I asked him about his evolution of training camp. Everybody's more self-confident, self-assured because they won, and it sort of validates everything you've been doing. So yeah, if anything, it probably even amplified. Now it's a little bit 50-50 though, because Vic doesn't have that mindset on defense. So And he's always making the passive aggressive comments about not practicing enough and things like that. So, his side, he's got more of an old school mentality, but certainly offensively, they're very, very cautious with anybody.
It almost feels like Nick and if not Nick, Vic and the organization maybe play a little tug of war with those two mindsets.
Well, yeah, and since Vic has gotten here, they practiced a little bit more, actually.
Right.
So he's gotten.
That's what I mean. He's winning the tug of war a little. He's not going to get all the way, but he's getting a little bit more slack.
No, yeah, and it's more of, like I said, we'll see what happens in the Jets game. I don't expect even people like Jahad Campbell and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. to play. Sidney Brown, because even more so Sidney Brown, because Drew Makuba's hurt again with a hamstring. He might not play because he might need him for week 1. And corner, I'm even debating whether Adoree Jackson's going to play, because you want Bennett to play to get some reps to get up to speed, but I don't even know if Adoree Jackson's going to play. So we're at that point where there's not much to be gained from going out there against the New York Jets on Friday.
No, there is not much to be gained. There will be people, though, John, but fighting for a roster spot, maybe not here, but somewhere else, fighting for their NFL lives. And I do want to, that is something that matters, I think, in the preseason game, right? I mean, bottom of the roster guys, they don't have a lot of chance to show themselves, to show film of themselves, to show tape, to try and earn a career in this league, which is obviously a hard thing to do. So I think that still exists in preseason game number 3.
Oh, sure. I mean, yeah, there's still I don't think anybody's making the team here based on the 3, but they can make it somewhere else. And playing on the Eagles right now is a feather in your cap. People are going to look at this team as a team to keep an eye on when it comes to the waiver wire. So for the guys that have to play, and some guys who are going to make the team have to play just from a number standpoint. But now that you get to keep 90, it's not nearly as many as it used to be.
Right.
All the way to keep 90 all the way down to the cut. So, it's, and you always want to put your best foot forward on film, whether it's, immediate job or job down the road when somebody gets hurt in another city. So it's important for everybody out there. I don't want to diminish that at all. But I do not believe the idea that somebody's going to go play well in MetLife Stadium is going to make the football team. I don't think that.
Well, what about like a bubble guy, who's like right there, maybe even like a Darius Cooper or somebody like that, who's right there, but they have different ways they could go. Could they shift what way they might go versus another way, depending on what they do in this game? I would think they would, but I don't know. You might think differently.
Yeah, I don't. I think that stuff. I mean, you either played well throughout the entire process and you're going to make the team at this point, or you're not. So, I guess if it's 50-50 exactly, one guy has 2 fumbles and the other guy has 2 touchdowns. Yeah, I guess in that rare instance, you can make the football team. But I would be very stunned if the Eagles don't know who their final 53 is right now, pending trades or things of that nature. Or the Eagles are 32nd on waiver wire priority, so it's not likely they're going to get anybody on waivers. So, would have to be most likely more of the trade type situation. I do think I would be surprised if there's not at least one more trade for the Eagles.
Yeah. Any thought on who that might be today, John? And we'll get into some of the things that happened at practice. I want to talk about Cooper. We'll talk about some of the other guys as well who maybe had a good practice or not so good today. But no, Ringo. Ringo didn't practice today. I was wondering. I mean, I think naturally people wonder, oh, is he a trade candidate? Potentially. Who do you think might be a trade candidate for this team?
Well, I think the two guys that could potentially get you something, because I don't think the Eagles are trading for draft picks. They don't need more. I think they want to get a player back. I think the two guys that could potentially get you a player back are Ringo and Jahan Dotson, which I've talked about. So those are. And Dotson's played very well this camp, played very well again today. I don't think you're a better team by trading him, but you got to trade something if you want something back.
Right. Do you think a linebacker could be on the block? It feels like that position's really deep right now.
Yeah, I don't think so. You're not trading.
I would say Trotter if they felt like Campbell was going to come in and they felt like Munden was good enough, in the secondary role. I don't know. I don't think they would do that. I'm just throwing it out there to get your thoughts on it.
No, I don't think. I don't think Munden's ready for that linebacker 3 role, number 1. And I don't think Trotter's proven enough. I think he's proven himself to the Eagles, but I don't think he's proven himself to the rest of the league to have the kind of value you would need to bring something back of relevance or potential relevance. So that's why, I mean, people always need corners in this league, and and Dotson's just a good player. So that's why I point to those 2 players first.
Well, and they also made that trade for John Metchie, which kind of confused the room. I mean, I know you've kind of shot down any of the concerns on A.J. Brown, which at this point, all right, I'm going to take your word on it. But that trade definitely clouded that room a little bit in terms of what the heck are the Eagles trying to do here, and that's where I think the Jahan Dotson questions come, because I don't know, John. Like I've heard a lot all summer that Jalen and Jahan are on the same page. Jalen and Jahan built chemistry up. Jalen and Jahan. Jahan's had a good camp. And now they're going to turn around and trade the guy. I don't know. It kind of feels a little bit, I don't know, short-sighted.
Well, I'm not saying they are. I'm saying again, you have to give something up to get something of value. And to me, he's an obvious candidate because you just traded for another receiver, number 1. And the second part is, and we use the wide receiver 3 that much. So in a lot of ways, he's a luxury in this particular offense as well. So it's nice to have, but you probably don't really need it, I would say. So that factors into it as well.
We'll see what ends up happening. John, let's go into the practice today and what went on at NovaCare Complex. It was day number 18, the final one. Everybody wrote about Jalen Hurts. Take us inside a little bit, John. What'd you see from Jalen Hurts? I know you kind of, view it a little bit differently than most, but specifically, anything stick out to you? Any plays?
Well, I think what people were excited about, there was a bunch of red zone stuff and a bunch of touchdowns. So Grant Calcaterra, I think, had a touchdown. Anais had a touchdown. I think Darius had a touchdown.
Yeah,
he had the best.
I read that he did.
Yeah. So, anytime you're in the red zone, it's more of a problem. Like they did a lot of red zone work against Cleveland, and they didn't get in the end zone, and that's a problem. Anytime you're doing that much red zone, you should get in the end zone. So that's one of those things when I talk about training camp statistics. Well, Jalen had this. I was having this discussion with Elliot before practice, because Elliot obviously is a big training camp stat guys, and he thinks he's had a bad camp. I think he's had the best camp in his career here, because we look at practice a different way. And I think he's been. I don't think I think Jalen Hurts has had his best offseason as a Philadelphia Eagle. I've said that pretty consistently for people that listen.
Well, how do you guys see the game so differently? Like what are you saying? What goes into the category that would bolster the opinion that he's had his best camp as an Eagle or offseason as an Eagle?
Well, I said that.
Yeah, you said that. Right. What goes in your category that would support?
Well, last year he had that stretch where he didn't throw an interception for whatever. You'd have to ask Elliott. 100 and Elliott calls it a record, but nobody's keeping stats, so it's not a record. But anyway, he went through pretty much the entire summer not throwing an interception, and like he values that. That's fine, but yeah, that's not what practice is about. Practice is about doing different things, working on different things. That's why I always go back to what J.J. Watt said. You don't even know what they're working on in a particular period. You know, and by the way, Jalen didn't throw an interception for that entire period. And then he goes in Green Bay and Brazil, and how many he throws, like 4 turnover worthy throws. Right. I forget how many interceptions. But I think he's been from the spring, and this counts the spring as well. This counts the OTAs and the mini camp. And to now, he's had his best offseason. I firmly believe that. Significantly better.
Well,
I had always said,
I think that's a great thing if you're saying that.
I had always said he's not the best practice player because a lot of what he does is ruined by the nature of practice. The early whistles, the inability to extend plays, they're going to blow it dead. So a lot of the things he does well don't show up in practice. And a lot of the things he needed to work on show up in practice. Like even 7-on-7s. He would be, you know, he would be sort of infamous for holding on to the football in 7-on-7s earlier in his career. And we're all like, dude, it's 7-on-7s. Let it go.
Right.
You know, it's completely tilted towards the offense. So things like that, as far as being a practice player, he's gotten so much better over the years, and he's getting better and better and better. And I think he had his best offseason as a pro. And he talked a little bit about his evolution and about dropping some of that other stuff. Specifically, you know, Jalen's always going to go to winning first. It's about winning, winning, winning. But, you know, like some of the times, especially when people are making a big deal out of training camp interceptions,
right.
Well, the human nature is I don't want to throw an interception. And the human nature should be, I don't give a shit. It's practice. Let me see if this will work. So I think he's become a better practice player. And he was always an average to below average practice player. And when the real bullets were flying, he was a better player because, again, they're not going to throw. They might blow a whistle. There's so many sacks. You'll read about so-and-so getting a sack in practice. There's so many sacks where I'm watching and I say, there's no freaking way they're getting them down. But they blew it dead. But if it were real, if it were live, I've seen Jalen Hurts play enough to know they're not getting them down on that particular play. Right. He's just going to. So that's the kind of stuff I'm talking.
You can't gauge that in practice. Exactly.
No. Well, you know, you're just blowing it dead to protect the quarterback.
Right.
But after watching Jalen Hurts, you do get a sense of, all right, that's not going to be a sack. Whether he's going to outrun somebody or he's going to get out of it or do what he needs to do. But anyway, that's some of the stuff that I'm talking about. So, you know, today was a lot of red zone, and I had 3 or 4 touchdowns. So I think that's what people were talking about.
Yep. Good stuff there, John, on Jalen Hurts. Darius Cooper, John, keeps making plays at practice, man. I know everybody's missing, but What do you think on him? You think he makes the team? I think a lot of people are starting to get confidence that he's going to make the team, even some people writing about it. What do you think on Darius Cooper after training camp, after 18 days of training camp and 2 preseason games?
Yeah, he's put himself in the conversation. And I think the Johnny Wilson injury helps him. You never want to be helped by an injury, but I think it helps him.
Well, it's the nature of the beast. I don't think it's any disrespect to Johnny. It's just
no. But Johnny was definitely going to make the team, and we still don't have concrete information. At least I don't. I don't know if somebody else got it, but other than it's a knee and an ankle, which does not sound good to me.
No.
And just watching it, it did not look good. So we have to get more clarification on that particular injury, but it's going to be out for at least, best case scenario, I would say week to week. Worst case scenario, significant time. But the Metchie deal, I mean, that hurts his chances, especially after getting to see him play, because he's significantly better than the Eagles back end wide receivers, all of them, not just Darius, but all of them. So I mean, he's going to be here. So you got AJ. You got Devontae, you have Jahan if he's not getting traded. You have Metchie. Avery Williams complicates things. They seem to believe in him as a returner and
why not just go to Anias as the returner though?
Well, I mean, Anias can do it. You saw he had a whatever it was, 45-yard punt. Right. But he's the first thing with returners that have to be sure catching the ball. And he's kind of an adventure at times.
Would Avery just be the punt returner?
No, I think he's going to be both. They're going to do the dual. I think it's going to be him and Will Shipley, if I had to guess.
Right, that's what I was thinking. Will Shipley would do it, yeah.
Returning kick. So they have dual kick returners, and then the punt returner, but I have not seen enough from Avery Williams to think he belongs on this team. So from my standpoint, I'd go in a different direction. But and I tried to get Nick talking about Darius Cooper today, because what I've heard is that the Eagles love his playmaking skills, but he's got a lot of work to do with the technical stuff.
Right.
And I brought it up on the show a couple times. They didn't even use huddles at Tarleton State. So he needs to understand alignments. And Nick Sirianni is a stickler on that, because he used to be a receiver himself, and he used to be a receivers coach. So he is a stickler on route running.
Right.
If it's supposed to be 7 yards, you better do it at 7 yards. If you're aligned one step where you shouldn't be aligned, you better get to where you're aligned. The spacing is all involved. So that's the kind of stuff I was told he needs work on. And I was told the Eagles want to work with him. They want to continue to work with him. They like him. But it sounded like they want to get him on the practice squad. Now, the problem with that is, can you get him on the practice squad? And that is this decision. I think it remains the decision. If Howie does not think they can get him through waivers, and nobody has a better feel for that than Howie, not that he's perfect, but nobody has a better feel for it. If he thinks he can't get him through, he'll keep him. And if he does think he can get through, they'll waive him and bring him back to the practice squad. So that's what Howie is weighing.
Well, I'll tell you what, if any other GMs are reading Brandon Lee Gatlin, they're going to read this today. Ready? Start of his his section today on his article. Shout out to BLJ, one of our great guests that we have often. Darius Cooper is good at football, and he starts it. The undrafted rookie wide receiver has had such an impressive summer. He went from being a long shot to make the team to being a lock to make the roster. And then he continues on for a couple more paragraphs. But I don't know. That's just what they're talking about, John. I don't bring that up to say BLG is going to be right or wrong. I bring it up to say has the mindset around the league on the player perhaps shifted enough that Howie's not going to think he's going to get through waivers? I mean,
Yeah,
BLT
I don't know. Locke is a like I do my 100%ers every year, and last year I was 35 out of 35. 100% means 100%. 100% doesn't mean 98%. 100% doesn't mean, well, he's going to make it if this, if that, if how. 100% means 100%. And he's not 100%er. I mean, I love BLG, but that's insane. That's for guys who are not going to play on Friday night because they're key aspects of the team. If Darius Cooper makes the 53, he's going to be inactive. He's not going to play. And I don't know. I lost Zander. So people in the chat tell me if I'm live. I don't know. Can anybody hear me? I don't know. So I'm going to try to get back on, get off and get back on. Okay. You guys can hear me. All right. I'll stick it out, even though I'm split, and hopefully Zander can get back on. So what I was saying about Darius Cooper, and I love BLG, but a lock, I mean, he's going to be at the back end of the roster. He's going to be inactive. If the Eagles had a bunch of injuries, and God forbid AJ went down, Devontae went down, it's not going to happen. They would elevate somebody from the practice squad, whether it would be, they're not going to cut Metchie, but an Elijah Cooks or somebody like that before that. So, yes, the decision is, does Howie Roseman believe that Darius Cooper can get through waivers or not? And he will keep it. He's proven that with Eli Ricks. He kept Eli Ricks for years now because of the belief that he would lose him to waivers after getting the pick six in Baltimore in the preseason. Now, ultimately, we'll never know. We'll never know if they would have lost him or if they would have kept him. But now he's on the bubble. He's not 100%er. So anybody at the back end of the roster, and as simple as a trade for John Metchie, which is a surprise, that term lock is a little bit too definitive. But what he has done is he put himself in the conversation. He's Mr. Novacare, the mythical Mr. Novacare. He's the unheralded guy who broke through, that has a chance to make through, that excited everybody. He had a great summer. The Eagles want to work with him. All that is true. But a lock for the 53-man roster is going a little bit too far at this stage for Darius Cooper. But that's training camp. People get excited about training camp.
Sorry, J-Mac.
It's all right. I didn't know if I was off or what.
No, it was me. My internet just reset completely.
Yeah, the people in the chat, so I kept going. So anyway, I was talking about Cooper, and I basically said lock is too strong of a word, but he's put himself in a position to where he's in the conversation. He's Mr. Novacare. He's had a great summer. The Eagles want to keep working with him. But again, if you're at the back end of the roster, nobody's a lock. If you're in the final five, you're not a lock. That's a strong word. That is, especially when Metchie's coming in two days earlier. I mean, that's a strong word. But he has put him in he has put himself in a position to be in the conversation. But what I was also saying while you were gone, if catastrophe happens, like, he's not the guy who's going to play. Like, they would elevate whoever they're going to keep on the practice squad to play, because he still needs the refining of the technique of his game. So to me, and again, it's about everybody's definition. To me, lock means lock. 100% means 100%. He's not 100%.
Yeah, but doesn't it feel kind of stupid to keep Avery Williams around just to return shit? Like, can none of these other 6 receivers return? I mean, if they're
Well,
not
I, I
risky
don't,
doing
I
it,
don't, I don't particularly like Avery Williams
it doesn't
as a
sound like
player,
it.
not as a person, but as a player,
Yeah.
because I don't think he's got a role. Like they list him as a receiver, but he's not really a receiver. Um, he is a good kick return. Now the Eagles say Michael Clay says he's a great core special teamer. I don't know. I mean, that's tough to judge. I gotta believe him on that. But to me, unless he's doing both, returning punts, returning kicks, unless he's doing something else on one of the coverage units, I don't want to keep Avery Williams. That's me personally. But I'm not sure the Eagles are in that same category.
We'll see what they end up doing with that. We'll see what they end up doing with that, John. I do think it's pretty impressive though, just to kind of isolate on Darius for a second, whether he makes it or doesn't. I happen to think he's going to. I understand where you're coming from with not a lock yet, but pretty impressive to have a player step up like he has, John. And he even feels like he's built a little chemistry with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts talking to him, going to him, throwing to him. Pretty good, John. I always like to hear of a player who takes advantage of all their opportunities, no matter how big or small.
Yeah, so I tried to get Nick talking about him today in the press conference, and I asked him, getting first team reps, even though they're by circumstance, and AJ's not there, and Devontae's not there, and Johnny's not there. I asked him, how does somebody like that, catch your eye at first as the head coach, because we look at the splash plays. And, Nick defaulted to it can't just be the splash plays. It's got to be consistency, which is where I expected him to go. But the splash plays, he did say, are what initially catch your eye. That's where he's caught everybody's eye. And then he went into having a lot of free agents make our football team. And then he went in a different direction where I didn't want him to go with Zach Pascal and Tyrell Williams and Dontrell Inman, who are all guys that made his previous teams and produced some quality reps. So I was hoping he'd talk a little bit more about, what he's looking for. Kevin kind of mentioned it about we'll see where it goes. Aaron Moorhead said the same thing. We'll see where it goes. Can he improve those other aspects?
Right.
I didn't quite get Nick to go down, but he did mention you're looking for consistency. But you also have to have the talent to be able to shine to get in there. And that's what he's shown. I don't know if he's shown the consistency from play to play, but he has shown the talent to get himself in the conversation.
Good stuff on Darius Cooper. Johnny Mac, moving along. How was John Metchie today, the newest receiver who kind of came to the bunch this week? How'd he look at practice today? I saw him was out there.
Yeah, he was in the second team today. The first team was Anias, Darius, and John Dotson with 11. With 12, it was John, and the other two would sort of rotate. So it was a much smaller practice. It was less, again, a lot of it walked through individual. So they were scaled back on reps. So he didn't get any first team reps. But he's coming. He just got here. Initially, when they made the trade, I'm like, this doesn't make sense to me. But then I saw him play. Like, he's significantly better than those names I just mentioned, with the exception.
It just feels like this is so cookie cutter to me, and it's not. Not cookie cutter, but like it's obvious to me who the Eagles like in order to make the team. But I guess there's always more that goes into it than that.
No, well, I mean, and that's probably not fair to the guys that were here, but I mean, somebody's better, significantly better. Like I told the CJ story when he got traded, nobody was happy about it, but he was better than everybody. like you're biting hard. If you're a Naismith, because those are the two guys, a Naismith and Darius Cooper, you're biting hard. You're both having, at least according to the coaching staff, you're both having good summers. And then on August, whatever, 19th, 18th, whatever it was, all of a sudden here comes John Metchie. And hey, sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, that's bad. That's bad luck. But that's why I use that lock word. I'm like, John Metchie just got here. Did anybody realize that?
Yeah, I look, I'm a Darius Cooper super fan. I don't know if I could call him a lock at this point. I mean, there's still a lot of questions to be determined at that position. Now, if Johnny Wilson's unhealthy though,
if Johnny Wilson didn't get hurt, they'd both be shit out of luck, I think. But you got, I think that opens up something.
Well, what's the procedure if Johnny is hurt? Which he is, but hurt,
if he's got to go IR, that
right.
gives you an extra roster spot. But
he's got to miss 4 games, right?
Yeah. So, that gives you an extra roster spot, at least early. But again, that's only still, when he comes back, if he comes back, Johnny's going to be a part of this.
Yeah, I agree. You've been saying that for a long time.
Yeah.
It's a bit to get there.
So, we might be talking about 4 weeks anyway. Now, if it's a season-ending injury, that opens the door further. But yeah. And also, those guys at the back end of the roster, they can't even breathe after the initial 53 comes out, because then you have the waiver wire. And again, the Eagles are unlikely, but you never know, 32nd on the waiver wire, but you never know. They might claim a player that way and have to cut somebody. And you have all these poor guys. It happens all the time. They're like, oh, you made the team. Dream come true. 24 hours later, they're out.
They're out, right.
No, they'll be brought back to the practice.
That's an ongoing angst, right? That thing never ends all year, basically.
Yeah. If you're at the back end, yes, it never ends. It never ends. It literally never ends, because you're always susceptible to.
Yeah, I mean, how many times have we heard a guy, cut, released, brought back on practice squad, elevated, got released? You know what I mean? I feel like it happens a lot.
Happens all the time. All the time. That's why, I think the lock was overstating it. But, everybody's got their different definitions. To me, lock means lock. Lock means 100%. Nobody on the back end.
We'll see. John, moving over to the defense today in practice, any developments in your perspective? I know probably not much. It's the last practice, but safety, corner, those are the 2 main spots. Edge, I think the depth at edge is still a big one. Where's your head at on the position battles across the defensive side of the ball?
Well, I think injury might take care of safety. I mean, if McCuba can't practice, he's not going to play early in the season. And now you have Ringo. Not that, he was already, call it benching, call whatever you want, but now he's out with a quad injury. And now Adori's getting basically all of the first team snaps in the nickel. Cooper took them in the base today. So, injuries might be taking care of that, at least until Bennett can get up to speed, which I think getting up to speed for Vic is probably a little bit tougher than getting up to speed on offense. He might be a little bit tougher with that.
Do you think the idea there with Bennett would be start with him because you have the higher upside, and as he learns more, he could get better, and you can always kind of fall back to Adoree, who you probably know what he's going to be at this point? Does that make sense? Or do you think he would default immediately to Adoree, the veteran player?
I think early he'd default to the veteran player, but yeah. But I think at some point, I think he's going to Jakorian. But, some people think he doesn't like Adoree. And it sounded like that at times when he spoke. but he's playing him a lot. Like
Right.
people would compare it to Bryce Huff, and I'm like, well, he didn't play Bryce. Like he's all over the place. He's playing all over the place. So
Right. Don't listen to what I say. Watch what I do.
yeah. So I think Adori's on track to start week 1 at least. Now, again, people same with the 53-man roster. It's initial. It's constantly it's fluid. Just because you're starting week 1 doesn't mean you're starting week 2.
Right.
Especially if CD Lamb catches, 8 balls and 2 touchdowns, then we might have a move. But yeah, I mean, what that has never looked more clear than the past 2 days, but it's all due to injury at safety, not all due to injury at corner, injury and ineffectiveness. But it's been Sidney and Adoree for the past 2 days. Part of it by circumstance, but there's been no sort of deviation from that.
What's your concern with Makuba and from an injury perspective, staying healthy perspective?
Well, I'm not too worried about a hamstring with a fast guy. I said that yesterday. I mean, it happens. It happens. It just does.
So no problem with the double injuries in training camp.
Well, I think they're all contextual. I'm more concerned with the shoulder than the hamstring, and he's back from the shoulder. So if it was shoulder or shoulder elbow, or it would be more concerning than if it were a hamstring, which is just something that happens to fast guys.
If I had a freaking a nickel for every time we talked about a hamstring.
Well, yeah, I mean, because it happens. And by the way, I wanted to, did I retweet that? The other day, I tweeted out a little clip of AJ. And obviously, a lot of people didn't see it. A lot of people saw it because a lot of people stole it. But anyway, I'm trying to find it to retweet it so you can show the people and see if you're worried about them.
Yeah, I mean, how much can you decipher from video?
Well, you can decipher that you shouldn't be worried about them.
Can you?
Yeah.
How fast is he running as compared to what he's going to be doing on the football field at full speed?
There's no need to worry about it. But again, I can't prove it to people.
Well, I told you, I'm taking your word for it. I'm not really worried about him, but I do think it's a little odd how much practice he's missed this summer. They haven't had much time together. I mean, you said it at the open of this segment, less than 100 reps for that offense. I mean, look, I get it. I think we're all pretty confident in the Eagles' offense this year, rightfully so, but I would just say I would have liked to have gotten a couple more reps there. I don't think it's a huge deal. I'm not acting like the season's over because of it, but I'm taking your word for it that he's all right.
He's, and it's funny because I just saw Jefferson return to practice for the first time in 20 days. 20 days was out with a hamstring.
He's been out what? How long?
Not 20 days. It ain't just the Eagles, and especially hamstrings at that position. I mean,
I see the video. Let me pull it up. Let me pull it up here.
There's and Devontae has a groin, all soft tissue stuff. I mean, they're just being cautious because they want them to be ready for week 1. And the last thing they want is for somebody to come back too early from a soft tissue injury and then tweak it again. And then all of a sudden they're out for a longer period of time when it doesn't matter. Now, look, I always say you can get hurt in practice. You can get hurt in training camp. You can get hurt in OTAs. You can get hurt in the regular season, obviously. But it seems empty when you get hurt in training camp. It really seems empty. It seems like a waste of if you get hurt in the game, you're like, well, at least it's not good, but at least you're working for something. It seems empty to me if you get hurt in training camp.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They're just trying to make sure they're ready for week 1.
Yep, fair enough. That injury list is long right now, but I agree. It's nothing crazy, nothing too serious on that front. So good stuff overall there, John. Continuing on that defensive side. Any updates, any developments on the edge, John? Your biggest concern of the offseason?
Aziz is out. He's got a soft tissue injury. So I got to get the list was big today. The list was
monstrous today. I think I have GLG on bleeding green. Let me pull it.
The list was big today. Aziz, no, it was Josh. I take it back. Josh Uche had a groin.
Okay.
So I'm conflating Aziz Ojulari and Josh Uche. So Josh Uche was out with a groin. Now, Aziz has not impressed in training camp. So, I mean, I guess you're at the point, if you can't bring somebody in, I guess you're at the point that you're hoping he's a game player and not a practice player. It is what it is. You're rolling with Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt, and hopefully Josh Uche can get back and Aziz Ojulari, because I don't see anybody else. Obo I don't think he's going to make the team. Antoine Powell-Ryland, Howie might want to keep him for the future, but it's certainly not about now.
He could be. He's probably a practice squad guy, right?
Well, you never say never with Howie and draft picks, but he has shown nothing.
It feels like we're already in too much of a roster crunch, and that's before him making a push to make it.
Oh, they're not at a roster crunch at edge. They're at a roster crunch at certain positions, but you need 5 edge rushers.
They're going to keep Nolan. They're going to keep Jalix. They're going to keep Uche. They're going to keep Ojulari. And then it's between Obo and
Patrick Johnson, who probably deserves it, but and Antoine Powell-Ryland. Those are the guys on the bubble. Patrick is clearly the one that could play and help you, but we saw that last year. He doesn't have a great upside. And if Howie thinks APR has a upside, he might keep him.
We'll see what ends up happening with that. Johnny Mac, good stuff overall. Yeah, injury list was long today. I'll read it out for everybody. A.J. Brown did not practice. Cornerback Tariq Castro Fields with a hamstring. Lewis Seam with a groin safety. Guard Landon Dickerson with a knee. Mailata with a concussion. Tanner McKee with a finger. Non-surgical. Non-surgical. Andrew Makuba with a hamstring. Keely Ringo with a quad. Devontae Smith with a groin. Joshua Uche with a groin. And Johnny Wilson with a knee. That's 6 straight for Dickerson. 5 straight for A.J. Brown. So nothing crazy, but definitely a long list right now for this Eagles team. I think overall they're pretty healthy, and they're just trying to get to week 1 here. Final preseason game coming up on Friday night, John. John, any other things stick out from practice today that we got to hit on for the great people of JAKIB Nation?
No.
No, got it all. Got it all. How about what about the Jahad Campbell update? We always got to get a Jahad Campbell update.
Jahad's trending very positively, I would say. And that's one where, feel kind of bad for Trot because he's had a great summer as well, but it's about upside. And, Jahad's got a chance to be a real star. And, I think Trotter's got a chance to be just a really solid football player. And, Jahad's going to win that battle. But, with Trotter losing that has nothing to do with Trotter. He's had a really good summer. Really good summer.
They drafted a first rounder. They're not keeping Trotter on the field to wait for him. So I agree. It's like a tiger running behind him, John. He's inevitably going to pass you, man. It's not your it's not your fault. It's not. He's coming though. Let's get to some super chats. Then we'll get to our first commercial break. I want to welcome and thank everybody for being here on our nightcap. This is our final nightcap All right, so Birds 365 will officially move back to 8 to 10 a.m. and will be there all through the regular season. So for
I wouldn't go that far. I don't have it. This is the Philadelphia Eagles. So I don't have a regular season schedule, but we're crossing our fingers.
Crossing our fingers, hoping that it goes that way. We'll see. Dio checks in. What's up, Dio? LB1 last year had all first team reps and didn't start. That's fair. Fair point to bring up. Do you think a Devin White, N'Kobe Dean scenario is emerging with Keely Ringo? Could he be the one to come out in week 1, John, as the starting?
Well, first of all, as Mad D, that is completely incorrect. If you watch this show, and Devin White is the example I use for the first rep truthers, as I call them. And they look at the first rep and they see who's out there, and then they turn it off. And if you're watching this show, I told everybody the last week of camp, N'Kobe was getting significantly more first team reps than Devin White. He just wasn't getting the first one. And Vic also gave me a heads up that that's the way it was going. But it is not the case that he got all the first team reps. It is not the case even remotely. He got all the first team reps, which is this one play of practice, right up until he didn't.
You think there's a Devin White story this year at all, or no?
No, I do not. Because the circumstance this year is they wanted Keely Ringo to start, and he lost the job. Now they wanted Campbell to start, and he's going to win the job. He got back earlier than expected. And they want Makuba to start, and he was on his way to winning the job, and he got hurt again. So there's not a Devin White instance, which was basically a misevaluation of the player. Not even a misevaluation, but they gave him a little bit too much money, and they felt the need to see if he could recapture what he never really had in Tampa, to be honest. Except for one postseason run. By the way,
maybe that's why they didn't pay anybody this summer, John. Like, we're not giving anybody a couple extra peanuts. Everybody's getting the minimum. All right.
Well, they gave Aziz a few extra peanuts, but
a few extra bucks.
Yeah. A couple guys. Colin Granson got a few more peanuts than JD's boy Harrison Bryant.
He's history now, John. I don't even want to hear his name anymore. He is gone.
I warned JD3 that Colin got more money, so be on the lookout for that. Yeah.
JD would call it collusion, Johnny Mac. Collusion.
Everybody's colluding against poor Harrison Bryant.
Yeah.
Actually, Howie did Harrison Bryant a favor, man. He said thanks.
Send him to a tight end needy team. Could have put him out there in the ether on waivers, and his NFL career would be up in, potentially, a lot of uncertainty. HKP checks in. Appreciate the coverage as usual. Big Z and J Mac. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it, man. Brian Fleming says we need more panoramic Wizard of Oz, J Mac. I guess that's what you were when I got booted out from my internet. You were split screen.
Yeah, I was split screen. I didn't know how to fix that, so.
Do you have a little thing on the side of your screen over there, John, that says media assets?
Yes.
All right. And there's an overlay. So if I ever drop off, you can click into there, and in the overlay, just boom, turn it off. Turn it off, and you'll be good.
All right. Hey, learning something on the fly.
There you go. A little production knowledge for Johnny Mac on the fly. He teaches me about football. I teach him how to use StreamYard every once in a while. Good stuff. Appreciate all of our super chats tonight. Brian Fleming, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Dio, I wanted to thank you as well for becoming a member over here on JAKIB and also on my ZK's Garage channel. So thank you, brother. I appreciate that very much. Doesn't go unnoticed. Let's get to our first commercial break. When we come back, hour number 2, and we got to talk about some macro, some big camp takeaways from this year. We'll do all that next here on Birds 365.
The following is a presentation of JAKIB Sports.
If you're a small business owner or you work for a company that loves the birds, you need to react fast before we've used up our entire ticket allocation. And here's why. In celebration of JAKIB Media's new partnership with Savvy Seats, JAKIB Media will give you a pair of VIP tickets for any game on the 2025 schedule, home or away. And we'll give your company or your boss a 20-week media sponsorship package across the #1 digital network for Eagles coverage, JAKIB Sports. And that includes all of our game day coverage. Cost for your business or company? About $50 a week. Let's recap everything. 20-week sponsorship package on JAKIB Sports, including commercial spots, live reads, and liners. Inclusion in all of our game day coverage, including the soon-to-be-announced Green Zone, and a pair of tickets to the home opener or any game on the 2025 regular season schedule. Remember, that's home or away. If you're in Kansas City and you want to go to the game against the Chiefs, no problem. If you live in Florida and you want to go to the game in Tampa Bay at the end of September, no problem. Text Krause at 267-261-3428. That's 267-261-3428. And remember, do it quickly before this incredible gift is gone. JAKIB Sports and Savvy Seats put you right in the action with VIP seating as we are proud to announce our partnership for the 2025 season with Savvy Seats. Text Krause right now at 267-261-3428. That's 267-261-3428. And pick your game today. If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome back in, everybody, to a nightcap edition, a Wednesday edition of Bird 365 here on JAKIB Sports. This is our final nightcap edition. Our shows will return back to 8 to 10 a.m. For the foreseeable future until we get a regular season schedule. We'll see about that. Should be 8 to 10, though, locked in. Hopefully 8 to 10 a.m. Locked in.
Fridays might be a problem, but in the years past, that's when Nick has his off the record. So I tend to have to leave early on Friday, but we'll see how it shakes out.
Yeah, we will see how it shakes out. Johnny Mac, is Harrison Phillips the guy you mentioned this morning on the show?
No. Harrison Phillips just got traded to the Jets.
Yeah.
No, he's there.
I was duped, John. I was duped. Jay says Minnesota just traded the pass rusher. J-Mac mentioned this morning.
No, he's not a pass rusher. He's a
Deshae. You duped me. I should have known, Deshae.
He is. That was Gabe Murphy, who I mentioned.
Gabe Murphy. That's who it was.
But Harrison Phillips, good player. I'm a little surprised. That's a good trade for the Jets. I'm a little surprised. Similar to here, he's not as good as Jordan Davis, but similar to here, he's a run stopper. He's a 2-down player.
Yeah, right. Well, you've been saying we can't find a backup for Jordan.
Yeah, and they don't really have a backup. Now, they drafted that kid from Georgia that the Eagles also liked. Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, I believe is his name. I know they're very high on him. But I don't know that, he's not a nose tackle. And they got this kid from Texas A&M Commerce who, is a big story because he had an interesting background, but I don't know. That's a strange trade. Yeah. Bunch of strange trades coming out. I think that's a good trade for the Jets. It's a good player, but he's a run stopper. He's not a pass rusher at all. That's part of the problem. People want pass rushers, but you need run stoppers.
Yeah. John, do you think they made a little bit of a depth problem at defensive tackle? They normally rotate 4 there, and it looks like a massive drop-off after 3. I know Thomas Booker wasn't this, like, incredible player, but we at least knew what he could do. Now I feel like there's a fall from grace after the 3rd spot there. You're going to Ty Robinson or Gabe Hall. I don't know. Maybe not, but.
Mike could be going to Byron Young. But it's talking to Morrow today. Morrow just brought up Byron Young out of nowhere. Nobody asked him about it. And he's probably, of the 3, he's probably the most gifted one. No question. I mean, he was the 70th pick in the draft, Byron Young, a couple of years ago. He's another Alabama guy. So don't sleep on him. But, it's one of those things, like Thomas Booker is a good player. And if you want to get something, just what I was talking about with Dotson and Ringo, if you want to get something, you got to give something up that somebody wants. You're not just handing out your trash. So, the guys behind him aren't as good. But, maybe Ty Robinson gets there eventually. And yeah, we'll see how that works. But right now, yeah, they don't look as good, quite as deep as they did last year, but it's still one of the deeper positions, I would say, defensive tackle overall.
John, your 5 biggest. We'll go one at a time, but 5. I want to go 5 winners and 5 losers today. Let's start with the winners of camp. When you think of the winners of training camp this year, there's always people that emerge. There's always players that have better camps. I think it was a different style of camp, as we've talked about extensively here on Birds 365. But if we had to start with 5 winners, give me your first one right now.
5 winners of camp. Well, I think the 2 clear winners are Moro Ajomo and Quinyon Mitchell. I think.
All right. Well, let's start with those 2 because I don't want to go all 5 at a time. Let's milk it out a little bit here.
Well, I'm trying to think of.
Yeah, well, I'll give you some more time to think of the other 3. Moro Ajomo. Let's start with him. He is the bona fide winner of camp. Everybody's been writing about how good he's looked. How big of a step do you think he's going to take this year? Because they're calling on his name to be a much bigger role, obviously, with the departure of Milton Williams. And I think he's got what it takes, but it seems like he's done everything to take a step in the right direction toward being that player.
Yeah, I mean, everything points in the positive direction. He's smart. He's incredibly smart. He's athletic. He's his big deficiency was being undersized. He's gotten stronger. I'm sure there'll be times when he gets pushed a little bit around in run support, but as a pass rusher, he's going to be a good player. It's just a matter of how good. And he's had a great camp, running with his opportunity, so to speak. And Quinyon's just been tremendous to the point where when he does get beat, because in practice everybody gets beat from Patrick Surtain on down, whoever you want to say is the best corner in the NFL, Sauce Gardner, whatever. Everybody gets beat. When he does get beat, you're surprised by it. Like Jahan Dotson beat him on a go route yesterday. And I'm like surprised. I'm like, oh, wow. It's interesting. And that's how good he's been. And I know a lot of people have said, I've seen some people say, and some people have said to me face to face that, well, they don't throw at Quinyon because the other corners are so bad. Again, it's practice. Nobody gives a shit. No, he's playing well. Maybe that's true in the games.
You think he's ready for the increased role that Vic's talked about? Maybe traveling him on the other team's best receivers, some of those things. I mean, one of the things last year, John, with him was people outside of Philly debated, hey, he's not a lockdown corner. He plays zone. You even gave some clarity to that on this show. Is he ready to take that next step? Does he look? He looks like he is, or sounds like he is.
Well, I don't think people understand what the Eagles do. So he's not going to travel around with receivers. Christian Parker told me this, and if somebody goes in the slot, he's not going to travel. And that's what people think about if when they talk about traveling corners. So if you talk about CD Lamb or in week 1, he plays a lot from the slot. He's not going to travel. He's not going to play in the slot. Hey, why would you want him in the slot? Because Cooper's going to be in the slot. Why would you want to take Cooper out of the slot? So basically, he might travel when you have a static offense, like the Eagles, by the way. We have a traditional X and a traditional Z, and then he might travel. But that's rare in today's NFL. And you also have to be a top-tier receiver. You have to be one of those receivers that's worthy of traveling with, which there aren't a lot of those guys. And most of the guys who are that go in the slot. And they go in the slot specifically to stop people from traveling. Because a lot of teams don't want to mess up their defense and discombobulate their defense. And that's the word Christian used, discombobulate. But for the Eagles, it's twofold. Not only do you want, because a lot of people aren't comfortable in the slot, but the Eagles have the best slot cornerback in football. You're not moving Cooper DeJean out of the slot. So, I wouldn't get worked up on other people saying, well, Quinn Johnson's not this because he's not traveling. They don't understand what the Eagles defense is doing to begin with. And so I wouldn't get worked up. He's had a great summer. And he's a great cornerback. And he's going to be great no matter how they use him.
Good to know. On Quinion Mitchell, good to know. He's had a great camp. You just mentioned Cooper DeJean real quick. What do you think the percentage of him not playing slot this year is?
It depends on what the Eagles slot percentage is. So probably less than 20%. When they're in nickel, he's going to be in the slot.
And what would have to happen for him to not be in slot and nickel?
Somebody would have to develop as a slot. The Big actually answered this question. Somebody would have to develop to play slot, and somebody would have to be deficient enough to not play outside.
What if they are certified really struggling at corner or safety? Would they move them or no, because they'd rather have a hole at corner and safety versus
well, their backups at outside corner are actually better than their backups at slot. Their backup right now in the slot is Brandon Johnson, who just got back from a groin injury, undrafted rookie from Oregon. He's their best slot cornerback outside of Cooper DeJean over the summer. They are not good behind Cooper DeJean slot.
Doesn't sound like they're very good at a CB2 or safety either, but I digress.
Well, they got a bunch of guys who can. They got a bunch of guys who belong in the NFL. We talked about this on the morning show at outside cornerback. They just have a bunch of backups. Yeah. I don't think they have a starter, but they have guys who are capable to be backups. They don't have guys who are capable to be backups in the slot. That to me is the difference.
Yeah, we'll see. Caleb.
Same thing at safety. Tristan McCullum already saw him last year. You can persevere with him.
Yeah, not ideal, but you can. Caleb asked the right question, though. Is it easier to mask a hole at slot or safety? I think you just kind of answered it, but I do think that's the right way to look at it. Eagles they don't seem to.
Well, turn on the film of Cleveland and watch Brandon Johnson getting beaten like a drum by Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, Brian Pumper pointed that out. Brandon Johnson got smoked in that Browns game.
Yeah.
Poor Brandon. Or some short strays tonight.
Now maybe, yeah. Well, hey, but you know what? He played better in the slot than Mac McWilliams, and he played better in the slot than Perry Nickerson. So, he's got that going for him. But that's Oregon on Oregon crime. Dylan Gabriel against Brandon Johnson.
There you go. Brandon Johnson, Oregon player. Good stuff there. John, you just gave me Moro Jomo and Quinyon Mitchell as two of your first 5 winners of camp. Who else, John? What's the third name you have that comes to mind as a winner in training camp?
Well, Darius Cooper, I think, has got to be on that list.
Yeah, I agree. There you go.
Coming from where he came from, and it was in the conversation that we're now talking about him. We're not talking about Taylor Moore, and we're not talking about Giles Jackson because he got cut today. Those are the other undrafted free agent receivers. And he's in the conversation for making the 53-man roster, and he's Mr. Novacare, the mythical Mr. Novacare, the unheralded person that everybody loves and latches on to. So he's had a great summer, I would say. Tanner McKee, till he had his non-surgical finger injury, I think belongs in that conversation.
Okay, Tanner McKee is a winner. I can buy that.
And I'm gonna go outside the box with a superstar, Saquon Barkley.
Ooh, I love that. You have talked about him having really a lot of workload in the practice.
Well, it's insane and it's disturbing. I was talking to Elliot about that. He didn't do anything in training camp last year. And now he's got more touches than anybody in training camp. That is one I do not understand. Because the Eagles have been very cognizant with Saquon saying, we manage him during the week. In other words, don't worry about touches during the game. We take care of him during the week, which extends to practice, obviously. But that's what training camp is, practice. And he's touching the ball all over the place. It's weird, but he's been unbelievable. As I said, he looks much better this year than he did last year in training camp. And
I remember you talking about it last year, how it was almost weird how little they were using him in practice.
Yeah. And last year he had 2,504 yards. So I don't know what the thought process is behind it, but he's had a really good summer.
All right, so this is what I'm going to do, John. So you gave me Moro Jomo, Quinyon Mitchell, Darius Cooper, Saquon Barkley, and who's the fifth one?
Tanner McKee.
And Tanner McKee. Now, I'm going to give you 5, but I can't use any of the 5 that you've used. Okay, so I have to come up with – you might have to help me with this.
It hasn't been a great camp.
All right, well, here's one. Tyler Steen as a winner, I would put.
Well, it's fair to call him a winner, yeah. I mean,
I think he's. I listen. I had
he never got challenged, so I mean that's a win.
And I thought he looked pretty good in the preseason games.
Yeah, I think he's okay. He's clearly not, the runt of the litter, so to speak, but I think he's been fine.
All right, Tyler Steen is one. I think an easy one would be Jahad Campbell, who I think was supposed to not even be around here till maybe now. We thought maybe late August, and he's played the whole camp and has made progress nicely. I'd put him on my winner list. Fair?
Give me that one again.
Jahad Campbell. Just how we didn't expect him to play.
Well, yeah, I think same reason, but a little bit elevated for Tyler Steen. I mean, we thought, from where we thought he was going to start, and then he was there day one. Yeah, you'd have to consider him a winner, yes. Plus, he's got a huge upside as well as a player, like a much bigger upside than Tyler Steen type player. So, yeah, he's just the fact that he's there. I mean, there was concern he wouldn't even be practicing until right now. Today, after training camp. So, I mean, the fact that he was there day one, and Vic made the great quip about the training staff wanting to understate and overachieve. whether they did that purposefully or not. But yeah, I mean, there was little hope that he would be even on the practice field until August, and he was there day one on July 23rd or whatever it was.
All right, so Steen Campbell is 2. 3, I feel like is an easy, obvious one, and I'm tapping into the John McMullen knowledge well here. Jalen Hurts. I mean, you said it's his best offseason you've seen him have as an Eagle. I feel like I got to put him in the winners list if you didn't put him in, and I got to come up with 5 names that are different than yours. I got to go Jalen Hurts as a winner of camp.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any problem with it. I was trying to stay away from star players, but I did give you a star player. And I'm really 2 stars.
Well, he's going to be my only star. My last 2 will not be stars.
And I gave you 2 star players if you count Quinion. But yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly what I said. I think a lot of people disagree with me, but I think that he's had his best offseason. I think if you saw him talk today, he's just anybody's seen him talk all summer. Doesn't he seem different? He seems more confident.
Seems more almost seems more receptive and open to your guys' question.
Oh, he's more open. He's more comfortable with himself. He's not as much on guard. He's still on guard, but not nearly as much. Just self-assured.
I agree. I've had the same takeaways. Dirty Air says a Jomo. So for those who don't know, the exercise is 5 winners. John gave me 5. I got to give him 5 too, but I can't repeat any of the names. So John already said a Jomo. I can't put a Jomo on my list, Dirty Air. Next one, John. This is where you might start to say, no, not a winner. Is Kylan Granson a winner of training camp? With him?
Yeah, he's certainly, I wouldn't call him a top 10 winner, but he's certainly a winner.
Well, leave it out that I'm missing.
Well, he's certainly a winner because he's probably going to win. Although I wouldn't put him in the lock category because the Eagles really like E.J. Jenkins. They really like his upside. So
can Smile Munden fall in the winner category?
A little bit, sure. Throw Smile in there. He's had I think people overstate it, but I think he's done a good job per day 3 rookie. Like last year's day 3 rookies were insane. I remember it was great. The 5th round picks, it was great. I think, Trevor Keegan might have a chance to start. Who was the Anias? That was unbelievable. That the way people.
Slager says I was going to say Dotson, but I don't know if I could go Dotson after they bring in John Metchie on August.
Well, Dotson's had a very good camp.
Yeah, well, he's got to be a winner then too.
Yeah, he's had very good.
Granson off, put Dotson in.
Yeah, Dotson's just good, man. It's a player I don't think Eagles fans will ever know it because they just don't utilize that position. And that's why I say, hey, you might as well trade him if you can get something. Not trade him just to trade him. If you can get an edge rusher, that's a player that might be able to get you something of worth. But he's had a very good camp. Grant Calcaterra, I'm going down the list. He's had a very good camp. Will Shipley. He's easily a top 10. He's been unfreaking believable in the passing game. I was just doing it off the top of my head. Now I'm looking at the roster. Will Shipley's had a great summer.
All right, put him on the winner list.
Johnny Wilson was having a good summer before he got hurt. As a second-year player, catching the football, high pointing it, using his body, didn't look like it. A little disappointment, I think, with the backup offensive line as a whole. Those guys were kind of disappointing. Patrick Johnson is Mr. Preseason. That dude just makes plays in August. He's Mr. August. He's always having a good summer. And Is there anybody else? I think that's it. I think that's as far as I go. Lance Dixon as an undrafted guy has done some nice things.
Yeah, he can't put him on the winner list if he's not going to make the team.
No, he's going to be a practice squad guy, but he's earned his practice squad position. Jalix Hunt, I guess you throw Jalix in there.
I don't know. I didn't hear enough about Jalix. Early, I seemed to hear a lot about him, but after that,
I think he had a pretty good summer. I'm not sold on him, but I think he had a pretty good summer. It depends. Like, obviously if you're a star, your expectations differ for Lance Dixon versus, Jahad Campbell, never mind Zach Baun. So, everybody likes the undrafted stories make good, but it's better if you have guys like Quinyon and Saquon and Jalen having good summers, which I think they have.
Good stuff there. John, let's go to the dreaded loser category, the opposite of the winners, and we'll do the same thing.
Haley Ringo's number one. That's easy.
We all know he's going to be number one, which means when I give my 5 losers, I won't be able to use Keely Ringo. John, your 5 losers. You just started with number 1, Keely Ringo. What's next for Keely Ringo, John? Is he officially done as an Eagle? What do you think? What do you think the outlook is with him?
I think they might trade him. If they don't trade him, though, he's going to be here and he's going to be a key part. He's going to be your best special teams player. So at the bare minimum, I don't think he's going to lose confidence to where he can't play special teams. So, no, he's going to be here. He's cost effective. He's on his rookie deal. There's no reason to cut him. Disappointing that he didn't seize the job, but he's going to be here. But he's clearly the biggest loser because they wanted him to win that job, and he's not going to win that job. Losers. I think, boy, I'm going to piss some people off with this one. I just think Ty Robinson has been not good.
I don't think that. I think that's a very fair loser this year.
It's hard
Did we
to say.
have too much expectation for him coming
Well,
in?
that's part of the problem. It's like he's a 4th-round pick.
I was part of that problem. I'm like, I fucking love Ty Robinson. I think this guy's coming into play.
But even as a 4th-round pick, he's been sort of disappointing, And I'm using that. I'm not using the vanilla gorilla expectation. I mean, as a 4th-round pick, he hasn't looked like a 4th-round pick.
Okay. That's fair.
And that's why I put him in that category.
Well, do you think he's going to be the 4th defensive tackle this year, or do you think he'll be 5th?
I think he's behind Gabe Hall. I think he's behind Byron Young. Now, he's going to be on the team because they drafted him, but those guys are more ready to play. It's not particularly close. I think Kenyon Green is a big loser. I mean, think about, this guy was the freaking, 15th pick in the draft a couple of years ago? 15th pick in the draft. Tyler Steen, he didn't even get a first-team rep, and he's finally back on the second team. But, I mean, a lot of people, he's this year's Mekhi Becton. Boy, he's been a non-entity. So I got to put him on the list. Trying to think. It's a lot of just blah people, but they're not terrible. Should I put Harrison Bryant on? I'm joking. So what? I only have 3. I'm trying to come up. Oh, Lewis Seen. There's another guy.
That's a weak one. I'll take it though.
Well, I'm judging on people. Lewis Seen. Why do you never talk about Lewis Seen? Because he was he's from Georgia and he was a 1st-round pick, and it's got to be Lewis Seen. He stinks on ice. Nicest kid in the world. Probably injury related. Maxon Hook is better than Lewis Seen.
Sorry, Lewis Seen. Hate to hear it.
Oh, and Aziz. There, another Georgia
all
guy.
right.
I'll go
I
double
was holding
Georgia
on to
crime.
Aziz. He was gonna be my top guy if you did say him.
I'll be in a double Georgia on Georgia crime. Yeah, for all this talk about just draft Alabama, just draft Georgia guys. Yeah, all right. More likely draft good Alabama guys and draft good Georgia guys. Because some of them, and they didn't draft them. I'm not saying draft them, but the assumption that everybody from Georgia and everybody from Alabama is good is just incorrect. There are players on this team, on this team from both schools that are not good. And yeah, those two have not had good summers.
I think
Now, Seen's not going to make the team, obviously, but Ojulari probably has to make the team. But does he deserve to make the team?
Would you put Makuba in the stock up or stock down category?
Stock up when he's healthy, but I mean,
I kind of expected that when he was healthy. My big concern has been the whole time with him. How will he hold up at the NFL level?
Well, yeah, I the shoulder's more indicative of that than the hamstring. I mean, again, with hamstrings, it's just like if you're a cornerback or a safety or a wide receiver, eventually you're going to hurt your hamstring at some point. Now, do you want it to happen right away? No. I mean, I'm not gonna, unless he does it again and again and again. I'm not gonna hold that against him. A hamstring pull. But if it keeps happening, yeah, then you start to be concerned about it.
Good stuff, John. On the losers, was that 4? You gave me Ringo, you gave me Lewis Seen, you gave me Aziz Ojulari. Who else did you give me?
I thought I had 5. Now I got to go down the list again.
Shit. My bad. I should have been writing them down.
All right. I had Aziz. I had
Ringo.
Lewis Seen. I had Ringo. I had Ty Robinson.
Ty Robinson.
I had somebody else. Who else did I have? Harrison Bryant, but I was joking.
Oh, that's kind of a fair one because he did come into camp.
Yeah, but I thought I said somebody else. All right, I'll throw in another one. Is Antoine Powell Ryland? Done nothing.
I should have told you to do that. You're swiping guys from my list, John. I'm out of stock downs.
He's done nothing. He's done nothing. Yeah. Well, it's good news. There's not a ton of stock downs. No, I think most guys are just,
I got a stock down. How about Kenyon Green as a stock down?
Oh, that's who I said, Kenyon Green. Okay. So I had 6. Okay. So you can have you can have APR.
All right, I'll have Kenyon Green. You took Kenyon from me. You took Ojulari. You didn't take Dorian Thompson Robinson, did you?
No.
All right, that's a stock down.
He just, I'm very lenient on quarterbacks with 13 reps. Very lenient. It's like it's a disaster area. Everything about it is just.
So is that why you held McCord off too? Because I think you could probably say McCord was stock down.
Exactly the reason. 13 reps are a freaking disaster. If they were ever forced to play, they'd be playing with. And God forbid, you don't want them to play. I'm not saying they're good quarterbacks, but they would look a lot better if Lane Johnson was out there and Jordan Mailata and Landers and AJ, and they would look a lot better. They are out there with an absolute shit show. And I'm not picking on the Eagles. That is every team in the NFL. It is a league-wide problem.
Right.
13 reps are a disaster area. They should get money from FEMA.
Oh my goodness, Joe.
They are ugly. Everything about them is ugly.
So for that reason, you're not going to put those guys on your
Yeah.
loser list.
Well, you can, but I'm just me personally. I expect it from third team reps.
I feel like another one of these backup. I'm out of guys. I don't know who else to put stock down on. I feel like another one of the offensive
Well, you
linemen.
could go the backup offensive line.
That's what I was thinking.
You know, Trevor Keegan, you could go. He can't snap the ball.
Yeah, but he was never a center. You know, I mean, I didn't expect him to be able to snap the ball.
Well, the Eagles too.
I know.
So, I mean, if they're forcing him to do it, you better be able to do it. And he hasn't been able to do it. It's funny because Brett Toth might be the left guard on week 1, but he could use him.
Yeah.
I mean, he can't snap the ball either. He's attacking poor BLG, who got it wrong on that day. But the reason he got it wrong on that day is because Brett has been bad snapping for 3 years.
Yeah, that was a load of shit from Brett Toth. I told you that when it happened.
And he rolled up Johnny Wilson on a run play and might have hurt him. So I guess you could throw him in there. And APR is worthy, as I said.
Is Jake Elliott worthy of either up or down? He missed that kick in preseason, but
he missed the one though on a penalty. But
yeah, on the penalty.
Wasn't that was offside? Yeah, I can't count that. Braden Mann's been unbelievable since he got here. Avery Williams, I'm blat on him.
You are blessed kind. Here's Brian Pumper. Brian Pumper gives us his 5 losers. Let's see him. He goes,
Pumper will give us 15 losers.
And he'll give us, ready? Losers equals Street Clothes Makuba, Jacorian Beignets, Angel Reese Brown, Dolores Jackson, and that bozo Missy Elliott. He stinks. There's your 5 from Brian Pumper.
I like Angel Reese Brown. I like that one, Pumper.
I thought that's the one you would
street clothes. No, I just like it for the comedy part of it.
Right.
I don't like Jacorian Beignets. I don't like that. Street Clothes Makuba is pretty good. No, I don't like. Yeah, Dolores Jackson. Come on.
Missy Elliott's overplayed.
40%. I give you 40%, Pump, on your shtick. 40%.
So you're giving him Angel Reese and Street Clothes?
Yeah.
All right,
It's not bad.
Jason 18 checks in. What's up, 18? Appreciate you, brother. He says, what do we think about backup O-line and edge? How about shitty at both? He says, those are some of my biggest concerns. Center is not one because I think Drew Kendall can hold up. I agree about Drew Kendall. John, your thoughts on that?
Well, I think contextually, the offensive line's not bad. Most teams don't have 5 offensive linemen, never mind backup offensive linemen. So I think contextually against the rest of the league, it's pretty good. But that said, you don't want them replacing the superstars on the Eagles offensive line. It's not going to look good. But I think last year, because they won games, like Tyler Steen did not play well last year when he was forced to play. Fred Johnson did not play well. But they won games. That's all you're looking for. I think they're in a position to be that again, compared to other teams. Edge, yeah, I'm with you. They stink. They stink. To the point, I have no idea whether I can't believe I've said it 100 times. I'll say it 100 more until he makes the trade. I cannot believe Howie Roseman is going into a season with this edge rushing group. I cannot believe it.
Who's out there, though? Like, what would they do?
Again, if you're bringing in the Jacorian Bennett of edge rushers, it's something. Give me somebody with some upside.
But don't they already have enough of those guys? They have Patrick Johnson. They have
no.
They got not even. They're not even Jacorian Bennett.
No, they don't have the upside of Jacorian Bennett. Jacorian Bennett is a great athlete. He's 4'3". He showed some ability and limited snaps in Las Vegas. You're talking about a guy in Uche who did something in 2022. Ojulari should be on a milk carton after this summer. And Patrick Johnson's just a good, solid special teams player he's a utility guy. There's no upside there. That's why he got cut last year. Howie's when they put that he calls it his passion meeting, where he gets all the personnel people together on before day 3 of the draft. And he tells them to, pound the table for their particular players. They put it on unscripted for the first time. Their show, state-run media show, obviously heavily edited, but he, if you remember, he said, "I want starters. I can find backups anywhere." That's his belief. He wants guys with upside.
Right.
Doesn't mean you're going to hit, but he wants guys who at least have that potential to hit, and he can go find backups. Well, he found backups. Where's the upside? Now, this is after Nolan and Jalix.
And remember, it's still a big projection on the top 2 guys as well.
Yeah, but they at least have that upside. I'll give them that. The other guys have played enough. I've seen it. And, a lot of people pointed to Ojulari because he had a couple sacks and limited time with the Giants. He has not looked good.
Good stuff. 18, thank you, brother. Appreciate the super chat. Let's go to WP33. Says, does Ben Van Sumeren get a roster spot? If so, why?
Yes, because they want to use the fullback more. Plus, he's one of their 2 or 3 best special teams players. So he's got sort of a dual role, and he could play linebacker if he had to. Catastrophe struck. So again, similar to Patrick Johnson, he can do a bunch of different things. But if you paid attention, well, they did it last year. I mean, before he got hurt, watch the plays where he came in to play fullback. It's pretty impressive. Lead blocking for Saquon. So that's number one. They became enamored with it. And as Kevin Petullo said, and Jeffrey Lurie himself said when he was on WIP in the first time in 30 years or whatever it was, he said, "Hey, we're going to bring back the fullback," because they like Ben.
They haven't showed much of that though through camp, right?
No, Kevin even said that. He said, "We're not going to show that." They think that's something that's going to surprise people.
Okay.
Now,
probably don't want your owner telling people.
Well, that's true. That's true. But even to my lock point about earlier, I will not say he's a lock. Even with that, even with the owner saying, "Hey, we're going to bring the fullback," I will not say he's a lock.
That's fair.
He's the bottom of the roster player. And anything can happen, and somebody might get hurt. They might need somebody somewhere else. And so but I strongly think he will be on the team.
I agree. Jason Gates checks in. What's up, Jason? Appreciate you, brother. He says, just saw Ty Robinson's presser from earlier, and I swear I thought he was wearing shoulder pads for real. He is a beast. I hope it pans out. Go Birds. I don't know. He was on our loser list.
Well, he looks like a beast, and that's why everybody was excited. And he has not played like a beast, which he's been very.
He's given up a little too much info at the press conference. I heard him say, like,
"Oh, he's great.
Sometimes I'm just overmatched," and I'm like, "Bro,
I know.
I don't know if you want to say that."
Well, he's very honest. He's a great dude. He's already a cop. He's going to be a doctor. He's got so many things going for him.
Maybe too many things, though. Is that maybe what's holding him back?
He can't get off blocks. Can't get up. He can't disengage. Doesn't work at this level if you can't. In college, he could just use that strength and just throw people,
push people off him.
here my Lotta's locking on and he can't move. But maybe he learns the technique. That's what I was talking to him about today, the technique part of it. And if it was easier to get away with that college, and he gave a great answer, probably to Zander's point, too much information. But I never say too much. I encourage everybody to be honest. No, he struggled, and I only put him as a loser because of people's expectations. But even as a 4th round pick, I said, he's probably a little bit below where you would expect him to be, without the expectation. Like Jason's point, he's a beast. No, he's not. He's not. He might be a beast from a bodybuilding perspective. He might be a beast.
Yeah, that's kind of what Jason said. He said, I missed the loser list. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying he might own shares at Gold.
Yes, he might be. But unfortunately, he's not in the Mr. America contest. He's playing football.
Right.
And he's with a bunch of other strong guys who are training for football, and they're doing a better job. But hopefully he learns the technique part of it. And then maybe some of the other stuff, because he's a great athlete. He tests, he's a combine warrior. He tests great, but it doesn't translate to the field yet. And that's where the technique and stuff to take advantage of that comes into play. And it's probably not going to happen this year, but maybe the Eagles can develop it down the road.
We'll see. Jason, thank you for the super chat, brother. Appreciate you doing it tonight. Appreciate everybody for being here. Hit that like button for us. Drop your comments in the chat below. We always try and get some viewer comments in every single show. And we appreciate all of you guys for being here. Subscribe to the channel, guys. We've covered now all the offseason, all of training camp, now 18 straight training camp practices right here on JAKIB Sports and across Birds 365 as well. So we appreciate each and every one of you for being here. If you're new, which we do have 30% of our viewers are new, which I didn't realize that many of them are new. So we do appreciate all of our new.
What are our numbers for training camp? What are our numbers?
I think maybe our best yet. I'd have to go and look. But Bird 365 had a really good year, John. I told the people the numbers on Zander Time a couple of weeks ago. Massive increases in the last 365 days. So pretty exciting. 35%, John, increase in terms of viewership, watch time, and some other things as well. So pretty good, pretty exciting.
All right, because I always like to thank the people after training camp for following along.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you did a good job, John. It's a lot of work for sure. You did a really nice job, keeping people up to date. I always say people that listen to you, John, are knowledgeable Eagles fans, a lot more so than most.
Yeah, well, that's my goal. I try to get people, and sometimes I go against the grain, but I'm not doing it to go against the grain. I just do think, and this because I went through this because I've been doing this for a long time. So I'm not trying. It took me about 10 years to learn how to watch an NFL practice. I'm not even exaggerating. There's so much shit going on.
Right.
And again, you have to ask questions. You have to ask the coaches, what are you trying to do with this? What are you trying to accomplish with this? And, most people are looking at touchdowns and, that's a touchdown.
Right.
And
a lot of bullshit.
Yeah. Well, not that it's bullshit. I mean, it's a successful.
It's not the meat and potatoes, though.
Yeah. So again, and JJ Watt, I brought that up because it was great that JJ put that out there about training camp statistics. So she's like, dude, you don't even know what we're doing. What we're trying to accomplish on a particular drill. Could be working on just bull rush, could be working on just edge rush, could be working same thing offensively. You could be, there was a period where the Eagles just worked on inside zone. And guess what? They didn't score a lot of touchdowns and, but then you work in the red zone and you're in a condensed area and you got 10 yards to go. Well, occasionally you're going to break through and score some touchdowns, as opposed to going 80 yards. So much context to it. And another one down, I think this is number 10 for me with the Eagles. Probably 20. 27 overall, 27 or 28, closing in on 30. I don't know if I'll make it to 30, but I did make it to double digits with the Eagles.
That's pretty good. That's pretty impressive, John.
And yeah, this is the best era of Eagles football, certainly since, you got to go back. Ray Didinger will tell you about the 49 and 50 teams. I'm not going to go back that far. This is the best era of Eagles football in the modern era, at least. And it's been fun to watch. I mean, they have great players all over the place. But unfortunately, we didn't get to see a lot of them in this training camp. But we'll get to see a lot of them in the regular season.
When you say you don't think you're going to make it to 30, is that the cynic? Is that a realistic for you, or is that like the cynical in you that anything can happen and you're not gonna?
We're all day to day, man. We're all day to day. This is the third straight practice, man. I was.
Well, I don't know. Some people, John, approach things. They got a number in mind that they're done. They want to hang up the cleats and ride off into the sunset. I don't know. I don't know if that's something that you have.
Well, I'm the kind of person that needs to be doing something. I'm not a big.
I'm like, I don't know. Retire? What am I going to do?
I'm
young. I don't know, but
I'm not a big sit around and do nothing person. So I like to have something to do, but people have to want you to do something as well. So
we want you to keep doing it for us here on JAKIB Sports, Johnny Mac.
So
I know, that part I know.
So it all factors in. And hell, the way the NFL is going, they might shut it down even more and say, guess what? We don't want you to go.
I know. We'll be lucky if you guys still have training camp access in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Couple more super chats, John, and we'll let you get out of here. Bird Gang checking in. What's up, brother? He says, shout out to John for handling another rough training camp. We appreciate the GOAT, J-Mac. There you go, John.
Yeah, it's a bit. Well, I can tell because I started when I was young and now I'm not young. And when I started training camp, I used to do 2-a-days and I don't remember having an issue at all. And now this is like the third day of practice. I was in bad shape at the end, man. They had us on the gravel. I had to stand on the cement because they switched the fields, and it's like, man, I feel like Slay out there. You can really feel the difference between grass and cement. Just standing there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, how much give you got. Matt Dio, thank you, Bird Gang, by the way, for the super chat. Thank you, Dio, as well. He says, thank you. On in the PNW or Best Coast, and don't get to interact much, but I replay it summertime 2 to 3 times a day. Great content. Thank you, Dio. I appreciate that, brother. I wouldn't say that's the best coast over there. I wouldn't say that. All right. But I appreciate you for being here. Johnny Mac, your final couple thoughts on tonight's show, recapped day number 18, and also just brought an end to training camp, John. Your final thoughts here, closing up another training camp. You've done a lot of them. How does this compare to some of the other ones? Is it as shitty now as it feels? I don't know. You tell me and your final thoughts on tonight's Wednesday show.
Well, it's not as fun as it used to be simply because of the way the NFL handles training camp and the way the Eagles specifically handle training camp. I mean, they do hold out a lot of their star players. But I will acknowledge both sides. I think the Eagles make more sense than other teams risking some of their star players. So I do think the Eagles do it the right way, but it makes for a less fun experience just from a viewing standpoint. I just said, and I'm going to use that as I said it. That's my first time. I'm workshopping stuff on here a lot, and I'll use that in print as third-team reps should be getting FEMA money because they're a freaking disaster area. They are, and watching them is not fun. And watching the New York Jets play the Philadelphia Eagles with a bunch of players that aren't going to be on the team is not fun, but it's part of the process. And it is a big deal for the players out on the field, and they're trying, but it's ugly. So, I mean, watch that part of it is not as fun as it used to be, but I do acknowledge it makes sense. I mean, I always tell the Corey Stringer story. I mean, people in the NFL said, oh, you're weak if you want water. Think about how stupid that is. Think about how stupid that is today.
Yeah, so stupid, man. I still can't really get over that story.
Well, that's the way it was forever. Just the mentality, tough guy sport, all of that. And, Corey died in 2001, I believe, this century. So it's not like it's many, many years ago. So I think 95, maybe I'm already there. I think 95 was my first training camp.
Lots changed since then, man. Lots changed since then, John.
So yeah. A lot of things they did back then don't make sense from a health and wellness standpoint and beating the players up. But there's always a give and take. Like a bunch of those guys could play through anything. I tell the story about Jim Marshall. This will get Pumper because, it's Viking stories. This will get Pumper going. I met Jim Marshall, who just passed away this year, I think. I met him when he's like 65 years old. So he's like a senior citizen. I've never felt anybody with a grip like that in my life. At 65 years old. It was just like a vice. And he, for those who don't know, was the all-time leader in consecutive games played. I think it was 282 before Brett Favre broke it. Another guy who played through everything. Dude was literally, they say iron sharpens iron. The dude was literally made of iron. I'm convinced. Just went out there every single week.
Always respect a guy with a firm handshake too.
Yeah. But anyway, I don't know why I went down that tangent. But I was talking about players that play through stuff. And
I think it also shows, John, your depth of knowledge, which I think people really appreciate who listen to this show, but also I appreciate, I'm newer to covering the game. I don't get to see it all up close and personal. Sometimes I see things differently, and you who have a lot more experience covering it, obviously, can see through some of the bullshit, which is a good thing to have. So we appreciate it. Johnny Mac, great stuff, man. Great show tonight. Great job covering training camp. And we'll be back with you tomorrow morning on Birds 365. No more dreaded night shows for you for now. Johnny.
Boy. All right. Back. Yeah. But now we get no sleep and we got to get right back to it. But we'll have Jeff Kerr to help us out. Jeff Kerr will be back tomorrow. We'll have Rick Saratella, who is down at camp. He'll be on Friday. Chris Franklin will be on Friday. So we'll have some help to finish out the week.
All right, sounds good. If you need to sleep until 9 a.m. tomorrow, you let me know. All right, John, we'll push the show back.
No, I'll be up. I get up. I can't not get up. That's
me too. I get up. Certain clock hits a certain time, I'm up. Johnny Mac, appreciate you, brother. I'll talk to you in the morning. All right, man.
All right, see you, everybody.
All right, there's Johnny Mac. John McMullen joining us right here on Birds 365, a Wednesday nightcap edition. Our final training camp nightcap, day number 18 is done and dusted. It's in the books, everybody. So pretty awesome training camp this year. My second covering of training camp. Don't do it the same way as John does. Just do it from here. Obviously, doing the content. Somebody's got to get the content up, everybody. If John went down there every day and nobody was here doing the content, you guys wouldn't know a fucking thing. All right. But I appreciate each and every one of you, man. This lighting in here, man, it gets too dark at night. I got one of these. I told you guys, this is an 1870s home. Ready? Listen to that. I got a chandelier. It's one of those old-time chandeliers. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4. It's got 6 little prongs off it, all right? And there's little candle lights that sit on top. Ready? 1, 2, 3 of them are completely burnt out. And 2.5 of them remain. One of them flickers. Yeah, no, the light bulbs get changed every 6 months, for crying out loud. These old homes, I'm telling you, you guys don't get it, man. These fucking things are a pain in the ass. So the lighting just doesn't work for me at night. I don't know what it is. I got to get like a nice big ring light or something. But I appreciate all of you guys for being here, man. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate you. Says Zander, you've been killing it since you took over. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I think what's happened to the channel is it's become a lot more of a community. You know, before we just had a lot of different hosts and nobody cared about the community. Nobody cared about the business. Nobody cared about the money or any of those things. So I think now it's a little bit of a different feel, but I like it, man. I like it. I love where we are as a company. I love where we are as a channel. Again, I always tell you guys, I'm not interested in flash in the pan views. I'm interested in people that become a part of our community and watch and consume and join the conversation. You know, if I had 100,000 subscribers, but they only click on the videos once in a while, or they only watch 5 minutes of a given video, I've diminished the value of my audience. I don't want to diminish the value of my audience. I'm not interested in fast, speedy growth. So never ever look at it. No, and they're not at all shots fired at Jody at all. They're not. I mean, I could fire plenty of shots at Jody. Believe me, the guy was a pain in the fucking ass to work with. But other than that, I have respect for him. I don't, you know, there's no shots in terms of that. I just think it's become different. You know, when I own the channel, I pay all the expenses. I care everything. I care about it to a deep, at a deep level, and that brings a different feel. That's all. That's all. At least from my perspective, that's what I think. But I'm not really sure. All right. Big Mike says, you had the electrician in early the other day. Why couldn't he take care of that? Big Mike, believe me, he had his hands full. He had his hands full. He replaced the whole breaker box, the knob and tube, fucking everything, Big Mike. I couldn't ask the guy to fix the chandelier, too. Oh, man. All right. Pretty funny. Zay, how come you don't title the videos what the Eagles just did as the NFL terrified? I don't know, dude. I think you're joking around a little bit. I don't know, Curtis. You know, I try and get it a little bit sometimes where you try and entice more clicks and more viewership, but honestly, I don't even feel like we have to, dude. I feel like people who like to listen to Cilio want to listen to Cilio. People who like to listen to John want to listen to John, and they're going to click on the video. I don't know. I think my audience is probably a little bit smaller, a little bit different. It's channeled a little bit different way, but I like to think I have my own, collection of people as well who like to listen to me. And it's a different dynamic. Everybody has a different dynamic, and I think it's really created a good little circle here. You know what I mean? There's different viewpoints. There's some similar, some different, some from complete different perspectives. And I think it's good, man. So I appreciate all you guys, man. You guys definitely are a big part of it. So we appreciate that very much. All right. DM, pretty funny. This channel has become the only Eagles channel that matters. Curtis, that's very cool. All right. I appreciate that. HKP, thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. So thanks, everybody. All right. Keely Bingo's in here. Yo, guys, for those who are subscribed to my other channel, maybe those are my fans, the guys who watch me on my other places. But I don't expect you all to. You're Eagles fans. That's why you're here. You're not here for my car shit or for me or whatever. But I did release a new video on my car channel, and I got another new one coming. So I've recorded another one today, and I posted one out today on those brakes, baby. I'm trying to fix them brakes, Tony. So go and like and share and subscribe on that video. Dio, I know you were in here earlier. I do want to give you and Tony. All right, Tony, you're in here. I see you. Dio, are you still in here? Is Dio in here? Dio, are you out there? All right. Dio, are you out there? If Dio's here, I'd love to tell him something tonight. Tony, I got you. Tony, stand by. I'm going to give you some intel in a second. All right. I'm hoping Dio's here. I know Dio is here, but Valencia, I know you're there, so I appreciate you, brother, for checking in. I do want to thank two people though, Tony and Dio, because Tony and Dio, you can see Tony, all right, he's got that membership tag. Dio also has that membership tag here on JAKIB. All right. On ZK's Garage, which is my other YouTube channel, both of these fine gentlemen have become paying members and paying supporters on that channel as well. Again, this is I don't beg anybody. I don't quantify, whether you support me, whether you're a paying member or not. It's not about that. I just want to thank these two guys because they supported this channel, JAKIB, they have for a long time. And they now are supporting ZK's Garage, not only with viewership, but with becoming a paying member. So I wanted to thank those two guys personally for that membership, for that support. That goes a long way, and I do appreciate that a lot. And the other thing I'll say to those two guys is I got a bunch of those Eagles shirts, and I don't have them with me. But I have them at home. I got the Eagles Super Bowl hats. So what I'm going to do for both of those guys is send them a hat and a shirt. All right. So Tony, I know you got my number. You can text me, brother. I'll send you out a shirt and a hat. And then also Dio, I'll send you a shirt and a hat as well. All right. So I appreciate you guys, man. I appreciate that support. I appreciate you guys showing up. It means a lot. All right. So thank you very much. Thank you for all the support. You guys are the fucking best. Training camp's done, man. I can't believe it. The season's freaking here, guys. 15 days away. Guys, listen to this. In exactly 15 days from now, and I mean to the minute, we are going to be about ready to kick off Eagles versus Cowboys. The banner might be dropping. It's 8:02 right now. So the game, I think, is an 8 p.m. game. Maybe they start with the festivities. Maybe they start with the banner drop. Exactly 15 days from now, this team will be on the football field. I am so freaking jacked. I'm so excited to cover this team again for another year. I'm so excited for the great content we're going to have on the channel. I'm excited to talk to the great people of JAKIB Nation once again. It's exciting, man. It's a very exciting time for this team, for the city, for this fan base, for JAKIB Nation, for me, for John, I think, even if he doesn't show it, for Cilio, for everybody. So I'm super pumped about it, man. Thank you all for watching, listening, sharing, and subscribing. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you all very much. See you next time, everybody.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate, inside the locker room, and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.
I told you guys I was gone, and I even played my outro. But I can't go when Jason Gates sends a super chat. All right. So not all super chats are created equal, but this one is a nice one. And Jason, I want to thank you. Thank you, dude, for sending it. All other Eagles pods I've saw just blow smoke about how great everyone and everything is. And I will be and will be. I appreciate being informed truthfully. Go Birds. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, dog. I appreciate it so much so that I didn't walk away from the desk when I played the outro. I stuck it out for you because you stuck it out for me. Love you, brother. Appreciate it. See you next time, everybody.
EAGLES. Eagle.